Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Bad Players podcast. As always, I'm Dave here with Brandon and Andrew. And I think we just want to get right into this. Does Lorcana have a purple problem? What do you guys think?
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Do you
Yep,
think it's a
I think
card?
so.
Like, do we think Dumbo just made it a problem? Or do you think it's been a problem? Do you think that the other colors' lack of on play draw cards are the issue, or tell me what you guys think.
I think purple has always been a problem since, RA has been a thing. But now that all the bounce package and everything is out, we still get to see how busted everything like four and up purple has to offer. So from Genie to Belle to Elsa, all those cards are, and the new card obviously Dumbo, all of those cards are 4-0s. And they're just such good cards with on-play effects that, the tempo that you get and everything is just so good.
Yeah, I agree. Brandon, anything else to add?
Yeah, I think basically a key point that Andrew pointed out was on play effects, and Purple has just so many very important on play effects. And even though Dumbo doesn't have an on play effect, he's kind of like a shark, where if you don't remove him, the value just increases exponentially, and you kind of run away with the game if your Dumbo sticks. So there's no surprise that all these purple decks run four of Dumbos. Um, yeah, because I just think these purple cards generate so much value on their own. It's not like they need all these supplementing cards. But other than Dumbo needing other evasives, I think he himself is just still insane card to still draw you a card every turn.
Yeah, I think I don't necessarily think this may be a hot take, but I don't think we have a purple problem. We have a lack of five other colors also being a problem. Like, there's
Yes.
only
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
card in
Totally.
the game that says when you play this card, draw a card and keep that card, and that's Genie. And if every color had an example of that card, I think it would really make things more fair. Um, so maybe it's I don't want to say game design or card design uh, problem, but for now it's just purple. Purple has these cards and no one else does.
But I think someone on social media pointed out the same thing with Popsicle and Photosphere, where the blue items, like Popsicle, had the on-play draw card, and the reason they banned Photosphere was because it didn't fit Steel's identity, right? They banned it because Photosphere um, seemed like an item that wasn't supposed to draw a card, and it was making Blue Steel insane. So I think like if we gave every other color a four cost draw a card with decent stats, it I think that takes away a bit of what Lorcana's trying to do, but I get what you're saying that if they made the rest of the colors a little bit more caught up to purple with when it comes to card draw, maybe we wouldn't see so much of purple dominance. But at the same time, it's like you want to keep up with the identity of certain colors, and maybe the other colors can have other forms of card draw. Like we know that steel and green both do draw and then discard.
Hmm.
Um, and amber does like healing and then discard and then drawing cards.
Hmm.
So all these kind of things, like they all have card draw, but purple has just such a strong presence because there's no condition for them
Yeah,
to draw a card. And I think, yeah, that going back to the popsicle photosphere thing, I think that's what Locana wants to do, is they're trying to make sure that not all the colors have like the exact same card. If not, the game gets very boring.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I completely agree. But I think what that means is just that purple has the strongest identity because that means their identity is you get to draw cards, whereas everything else is conditional card draw. So what that just means is purple has the best identity in the
That's
whole game,
that's also true, but
which Yeah,
But steel has the best removal, right?
yeah, I know.
It has the
Yeah,
best
Each
yeah,
color
yeah.
removal,
has
and
their
then
strength.
purple. And then green has like the best tempo, maybe with like bounce cards. So I think there's like a you got to balance out the cards in the decks that you're making, and I think as like experienced TCG players, we all know that card draw is king. So that's why purple is just so, yeah, like you said, like purple is just so unconditional card. Like this unconditional card draw, it just feels a little bit, um,
Mm.
sometimes a bit unfair.
Yeah, but I think another issue is like you said, steel is the best removal color, right? Like direct damage removal. But then
Yeah,
purple has weird cards like Bell where,
yeah,
they
moving
gave her a
damage.
very unique effect, but the unique effect makes it so purple now has access to one of the, best removal cards in the game where you
Yeah,
get a 4/4 body that quests for 2. You heal one of your characters, right? Because you're moving the damage and you're dealing 3 damage most of the time, which is
yeah,
just,
gets around resist too.
Yep.
yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, the card's
And
just
then Elsa as well.
Okay,
top
but
class
Elsa
card
is
all time.
tapping
while
something.
we're speaking about removal, we did a bunch of testing on Friday with
We did good hours. Got some good hours in.
Blurple and Green Blue, and the premier removal spell now is Hades. Blue. He's in blue. He's not even in steel
Yeah.
or purple. Hades is a ridiculous card, and he has become the almost a focal point of like board control in Lorcana in this meta right now. So maybe I'll pass it on to the Hades lover and Hades enchanted owner, Dave. Tell us a bit about, how does blue come back in this with all the purple's card draw? Or are we just going to see a bunch of Hades paired with purple card draw and then it just becomes a purple meta? Or maybe it's just purple card draw and steel removal. I don't know. What do you think? Are we going to see more combinations of colors thanks to Hades, maybe?
I would love to say yes. I think like you were talking about like the entity of the colors and blue is very inkwell focused, whether that would be ramp
Yeah,
or sending
exactly.
something
Yeah.
to inkwell. I think um, using cards to fill your inkwell and then using purple to redraw those cards so you never lose ramp utility or lose have a bad side to ramping. Uh, I think that it's just gonna be um, there's just no better color combination. So I think it's gonna be Hades battles with Blurple. Um, the other thing is like with the reason why Hades is so effective is it's always a it's always a +1 because you retain a character on board. Red and steel, you're using these cards to banish a card, and then that's usually in action or song form. So you don't actually ever lose, like you never develop anything further. You're never using your ink to develop your board. Being able to just play something to essentially remove something is always going to be beneficial in this card game by far than just straight removal like other card games like Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic or things like that. So that's why I think Hades is just absolute king of removal right now. Um, I think everyone was so scared to use him when sets 1 to 8 was bigger because of the ramp issues. But now, because the no one really cares about ink, because once you get to 7, it doesn't matter. Hades is coming down whether you have 7 or 10, and
That's true. Yeah.
that's just what it
I could
is.
be playing Amber Steel against Blurple and I end the game with 12 ink because of Into the Unknown and Hades, right?
Yeah,
So what if I want to play something like, and you guys know this, I love Ludwig von Drake. I love this yellow blue card. So what if I want to play this guy and he has blue and I'm thinking, perfect, let me play this Thoughtseize effect on a body and play Hades as well, right? Like why not just play Hades in Amber? Surely there's enough card draw, right? Or am I just wishful thinking and hoping that just because I like Ludwig von Drake, I can play Amber Sapphire?
I feel like our first go-to questions when we're deck building is like, how do you deal with Daisy? How do you deal with Rhino? How do you draw cards? Right? And you don't have an answer for those. That's it. I know
Okay,
it's like it
makes
stinks, but
sense.
also like, what are you removing with Ludwig? Like, who cares? Who cares if you get rid of Into the Unknown or the Second Star or a Finders Keepers or whatever, you're still going to get
Hypnotic Strike
Hades.
is kind of relevant. Hypnotic Strike is pretty relevant, right?
But it's only relevant if you're playing illusion characters, which I feel like yellow blue. I don't know if you know this,
Doesn't
doesn't have
play.
any. So I don't know. You don't have
Okay,
the card draw that purple can give you, and what do you want to remove that's so important? Unfortunately,
we
right now the answer is
discussed it.
nothing.
Okay, well, you guys heard it here first. Amber Sapphire's gonna have to take a back seat for now. But you talk about card draw. I want to talk a little bit about very quickly before we move on to cards that tech so much against Blood Bowl. What what about Dock and Beyond the Horizon? These cards have proven to be so strong in testing. At least we know how insane Dock is in aggro decks. So Steel, why not talk about some Steel draw like Dock and Beyond? Are those consistent enough for people to play four ofs? And can we just pair Steel with anything because Steel has removal and Dock?
Yeah, this is definitely an Andrew question, but I want to interject about Beyond the Horizon first because I think it was, I don't know if Andrew was still there anymore, but I won on a double discard you and discard me, draw 3 cards when you were playing Blurple with the Beyond the Horizon play. Remember that? And I
Oh,
think that's
you're saying it back to back?
no,
Is that what you're saying?
I just sang it and we both discard our hands, draw 3, but you discard 5, and it was like 2 Hades because you were just
Right.
waiting for me to do things, like waiting to play into the thing. And I think that's a testament. I think it's less of a testament to the draw power that Beyond the Horizon has, but more to the testament that hand control is kind of a secret deal with Blurple right now, and we'll get to that later in the podcast. But um, Andrew, why don't you talk about Steel Draw? That's definitely your forte.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about purple just now, and then if you put purple together with steel, you get purple steel, which is one of the strongest decks in this format right now.
Yep,
Um,
just one
Doc is
top 2.
definitely yeah, that Doc has always been busted since it came out. You don't even need the mines package. It's just if you have space in your deck, you can add the removal. But Docs, for sure, in my opinion, is a 4 of in most steel decks, given how hard card draw comes by nowadays. Beyond the Horizons, you're right, has more utility because being able to discard your opponent, like if their Dumbo is going crazy and they have like 6 cards in their hand, cutting it back down to 3 is great.
Yeah,
So that it definitely has more utility, but it's also a harder card to pull off, especially in tough situations. So if you're winning the game, you have a board that can sing it. Beyond the Horizons is a great card, but sometimes you struggle. If you're losing or you haven't gotten up to 7 ink and you're struggling on the board, it's a slow card and it's not inkable. So when you're building with it, you definitely have to take that into account. But it's still a great card. I play it.
yeah,
I've been playing a lot of blue steel and I've been running 2 copies and it's been doing great.
yeah.
Especially because if I'm playing blue steel, I'm playing Vincenzo and Hades who can sing it on their own as well. So
I think Beyond the Horizon is such a good card. Um, any more comments about the the purple problem? Um, before we move on.
I don't think I don't think people should be too alarmed by it. I don't think it's a problem.
Well,
Maybe it is much of a problem, but it's not like the game is
let me
centered around
clickbait.
purple. So yeah, go ahead and click.
Purple
But
is a problem.
purple's a problem, and you guys should be scared. But no, people every day. I think are testing out different color combinations that are able to combat the meta. And I think as the weeks go on, we'll definitely see an uprise in different kinds of decks. But purple is not going anywhere, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's a
yeah,
testament
I
of
agree.
like in general what we want to do here with this podcast and what we like to do as players is whenever a top deck is clearly the best, we don't play it as much as I've been playing Blurple for two sets now. Like I was talking to you guys, I was talking to other casual players or with us that I just don't want to play it anymore. It's like too mainstream. Like I want to find something to beat it. I want to be creative. Be creative. Try to find something. Figure out what beats these decks, and then capitalize on that. Try to do as much as you can. We're always trying to look for something new, as you guys should too. Try to look for something new. Let us know what you guys find in the comments, and that's it. So with all of that being said, let's talk about a purple card. This has been second star to the right has been a card that is recently been included in a lot of decks.
Yeah, it's gaining a lot of popularity.
What do we think?
Well, I have tried it out a little bit on a particular web browser website, and I think it's. I actually think it's been. Well, we discussed this just before the podcast started. It does feel a lot like a win more card. However, uh, this second starter right can really turn the tide of a game, uh, like instantly because uh, the upside is of course you literally draw 5 cards for free, right? And you often do this when the board is stabilized or like there's no immediate threat, right? And in cards like Blurple, in a deck like Blurple that ramps into these big characters that are 5, 6, 7 costs, you can very quickly sing a second star to the right for free in the early to mid games. And I think uh, we saw in Infinity how strong Friends on the other side was. You draw 2 cards for free. Um, but now that the meta is a little bit slower and removal is not as potent, having characters stick to sing these big songs, especially in a ramp deck like Blurple, is a lot easier than we realize. And like I can talk about how insane drawing 5 cards is, but the tempo swing is huge because if you're not spending your ink to draw cards, you are using your characters to sing. You draw into a handful of threats that you can just dump down on that same turn. And that immediately kind of puts the opposing purple player into like kind of like a stressful situation because there's no board wipe unless you're playing against green blue with some trickery that we'll get up to. But there's no board wipe now, and if you're able to draw 5 cards, dump your hand, almost a bit like a dog play, your the tempo swing is huge, and you start to gain this insane board control. Because if you draw into genie, you're just replacing cards back into your hand, and it feels crazy when it pops off. But I'm not gonna talk. I'm not gonna dive too much into the negative side of having 2 second star to the right stuck in your hand when you mulligan. So I'm gonna stop there and let you guys talk about that.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of it. I'm on the side of this deck doesn't need it. It's a win more card. Just play out your 4 drops, maximize your curve of going from 2 to 4 to Dumbo on 5, and then go from there and just start drawing. I think having this card in your hand, it's just gonna lose you a game. It may win you a game, but the amount of times that I think that you're gonna have this card stuck in your hand, versus the amount of times that it's actually gonna help you win when you can just play for uh, finders keepers, um, or just maximize your draw efficiently. That's gonna win you the game. This is gonna you can't come back. Top decking this card does nothing. You can't win on a top deck when you have it 6, 7, 8 ink. You can't have this. You can't have this as a comeback card when you're only at 4 ink and you don't draw a 4 drop. Um, I want consistency, and I don't think this promotes consistency with an ink cost this high. Anything to
Yeah,
add,
I
Andrew?
mean,
Yeah, I think it's okay into anything that isn't an aggro deck
Yeah.
because of how slow the format has gotten. The best case I can think of is, you turn 5 Elsa, turn 6 Belle, so then you basically, cleared their board or removed their key threats, and then that gives you the next turn to sing with the two of them.
Yeah. No, that's
So I see the
fair.
value, but I agree with you. It's a bit, you know, I think it's a win more. So complex situation, The format doesn't really give us much options. With card draw, purple has the best card draw already,
Yeah.
so I don't think it's necessary, yeah.
The next two cards we have here, not this one. Where is it? This one. We have this one. Why didn't I add the Alice? We have Aurora. I think this card's awesome. Brandon? Aurora?
Again, going back to our testing on Friday, we started off with how many Auroras in the deck? Two? I
This
think
was
two.
zero. Start up with zero. And
I
then
started with zero, then you added in two
I added in
Auroras, right?
two. And then I was like, this actually feels really good. And then I went to go
Just
grab the
four.
enchanted binder and I put in 3 enchanteds. Courtesy of Edwin. Um,
Awesome. So what does Aurora do, and why did you frantically run to the enchanted binder to grab three of these and jam it into your Blurple deck? Tell us
uh,
why. Tell me. I don't play Blurple as much as you do,
because you
but
said
tell me why.
you held up the regular ones and said, why are we playing with these
No, no,
eyesores
not
of
the
a
art, not
card?
the art. No, 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 not. Yeah, look, I'm not gonna talk about enchanteds are beautiful. Enchanteds are insane. I will always steal your
This
enchantments to
enchanted
play.
is really nice.
You
I
know this.
don't. It's
But
in the other room.
what we're talking about here is why should people pick up this card and put in their blue decks? Why are we playing this 5-cost 3/5 that does nothing on play? Doesn't draw me a card, doesn't remove something. Why are we so high on it?
Uh,
Or why are you so high on
if you
it?
talk, if you look
Other than the
at,
obvious. Other
if
than
you
the
look
obvious
at,
that it gives some ward.
if you look at
Like what's
Blurp,
ward do?
look at Blurple. You have Elsa, 5-drop and 8-drop. You have Belle. You have Hades, and that's how they win the game. That's how they eventually have to win the game. And what they do is they use Genie and Dumbo to get to those cards to essentially control the board. Well, if they can't tap your creature, if they can't move damage counters, if they can't inkwell your character, they can't win. And this is
So
just bait for those. I know it may sound weird to people who first card game is Lorcana, but when you're going against this, it's much more intuitive for like a Magic player, where if they have multiple chances of removal, you have to find ways to bait out their removal for threats. And using Aurora, who is actually a pretty big deal pretty very good at protecting the cards that gain you the draw power, um, you have a chance to uh, kind of gain an advantage on your opponent by forcing them to deal with this before they deal with other things.
there's also such thing as the Aurora lock, where you put two
Two
Auroras on
Auroras
board and they
down.
give each other ward.
Yep. And then they're stuck. And the only thing that they can essentially do is
Challenge.
challenge. And if you
Yeah.
just never turn sideways your two Auroras, they'll never get a chance to like rush Elsa you, for example. And
Okay,
they're
let's
just gonna have
let's
to play
preface
cards.
by we should say that this is mainly to tech against the purple mirrors.
Yeah. I guess this is for the mirror match. This is if you're trying anything with blue in it. I feel like this is really good. This is also just really good against steel. It stops strength um, as
Fire
well.
the cannons. Fire
Um,
cannons pretty good.
Fire the Cannons, Vincenzo, um, any target, any target, or any choose a character effects. It's just it's surprisingly becoming a very effective. The more I remember when we were talking about it, we were like, this card's kind of okay, and then we played it and we're like, wow, this card's kind of good, and then we kept talking about it, and we're like, this card feels like it needs to be mandatory in these decks. Now, for our blue steel connoisseur, would you add this in a blue steel deck, or do you think this is strictly for these control decks as protection?
Yeah, I saw you guys testing it out, and I see the value. I wish there was a character with the same effect that was slightly cheaper because 5 cost bait is a bit expensive, but I do think she is a valuable character because of the tempo gain as well. For example, you like unlike purple, if you're playing other cards which require a turn to set up or like it's a quest effect or whatever, and then your opponent has their removal in hand, so they're sitting comfortably thinking, oh, next turn, I'm able to deal with their threat. Even if they have one removal, or even if they have two removals, but they can only play one in a turn because it's like Hades or something, sometimes, having her just make them take one extra turn to remove the real threat is enough to change the game. So, she does have value. I'm not as convinced as you guys because I didn't stick around and see all the games which you guys played with her. So maybe it'll take a few more games for me to be convinced, but I do see the value in her. But yeah, so I encourage everyone watching who is willing to try her out to figure out if she's worth playing. But the card's beautiful, so that's a plus.
Yeah, that is true. Let's talk about the next tech card I threw in, Alice. Another reprinted card, another awesome enchanted. I was originally bummed when I pulled this out of my set two box. How do we feel about this card? I know I actually won a game with the with the 10 attack effect with Brandon. Um, do we think that this is like a first of all, a 3 cost card is very odd for Blurple. Um, but do we feel like this card is a replacement or an addition to Basil? Do we think that there's a spot for it in this deck? Do we think it's a win more card? Do we think it's a counter card? What do you guys think?
So I think because the format has so little, like there's pretty much only one board wipe, she has some utility, but I feel like decks have to be built around her because the traditional Blurple right now, you ramp on 2 and then you play a 4-drop on 3. So she doesn't fit the curve.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, yeah, I think she feels more like a win more card, but when you go wide and the opponent, isn't playing super quick and like gives you the space to let her do her thing, she can kind of go crazy.
I think she's really good in the mirror, but if you have to go against Purple Steel or Amber Steel or anything just low curve, anything that's just faster, I think she gets bad pretty quickly. But I do love her. I think it's an awesome card. It's such a cool looking card.
I agree.
One more card that I think got a lot of hype when the set was dropping, and then it has kind of fallen off, but I wanted to highlight because I don't think this card should be forgotten about. Um, this card's really good. I don't know how to. I don't know how to say this. This card is just really good. Um, it makes your Scrooges good. If you want to play the Scrooge versions, which I think is really, really important. I think Scrooge is really important because yes, Blurple is very, very popular, but Blurple is becoming less popular, and which means you have to add the 4 mana 5-drop in, 4 mana 5/5, and adding this, even if it's just a one of, you hold it if you need it against the mirror, or you just ink it if you don't. You just need one. because it can just keep returning back to your hand. And if you're having Hades battles, you will have enough ink to be able to do stuff like this. I just don't want people to forget about this card. That's the only reason why it's here. Don't forget about it. This card's really good. That's it.
It's
And
the
we don't need to
first
talk about this anymore.
equipment
That's
card.
it. Yeah, first equipment card. This card's really good. That's it. You just don't forget about it. Please put one of these in your decks. That's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think the last single card we wanted to talk about was Bend to My Will. I alluded to this a little bit earlier when I was talking about Beyond the Horizon. What beats purple is hand control. Now, there's no Prince John to gain benefit of discarding, but they have a lot of cards in their hand when you're at 7 ink to play this card. If you can remove a Dumbo, if you can sing a You're Welcome, if you can sing a Mother's Know Best, and then you can slam a Bend to My Will down, your opponent will cry. I don't know how to explain this, but Brandon Bend to My Will me twice, and there was no chance of me coming back.
You just cried right on the spot in the store.
I just cried. There's cameras everywhere over that store. I cried immediately. Yeah, it was just hard. The cat had to come over and console me. Brandon apologized and then did it again the next game. It wasn't cool.
You almost lost a friend that day.
We're still on rough terms right now. Yeah, if I'm not saying that Baja Blast is the way. If you want to run the blue-green version, we're going to talk about one of those deck lists in a minute. But this is one of those other cards as well that we don't forget about. Find a way to use, find a way to abuse. This is pretty much an instant game winner if played correctly. Test it, play it. That's all I got. Anything you want to add on this one?
No, I think if you strip away purple decks from their resources, which is their card draw in their hand, they're not really an aggressive deck. So whatever they have on board isn't really gonna, unless they're at like 15 low or something, then maybe you're in trouble. But yeah, I think like you said, this is definitely worth building around. And I don't know, when the decks come up on screen, we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, if you can just get rid of the Dumbo and then Bend to My Will, it's just so good. So pretty much what we have here is pretty much the top 4 decks from the CCS that just happened over the weekend. We have 3 of the top 4 decks, and then we have one homebrew that we wanted to highlight that had the most success against Blurple. This was the top 4 Blurple list. This ended up losing to Purple Steel. The finals was Purple Steel versus Purple Steel. Pretty good match, but we wanted to show you what a Purple Steel deck or a Blurple deck looks like right now. This is probably the most standard version, I think. What do you want to highlight here, Brendan? What do you want to talk about?
We're talking about the second place deck, right? The
Top 4 Blurple deck. Ran Baymax, 2 TikToks, and 2 seconds out of the rights, and
right.
4
This is
Madam Mim elephants. 3 Madam Mim elephants, 3 Iagos.
oh, I actually started playing Madame Elephants in the 5 to 8 plus tournament in my Emerald Amethyst deck, and I can definitely see the appeal now. Maybe I'll touch on the Madame Elephant first for now.
Yeah.
Just being a 3/7 body is huge on 4. I think I don't want people to get confused over oh, it's a 4 cost, and you kind of like out tempo yourself by bouncing back something to your hand. Uh, it's not. Don't see it as like you're returning a card back from your hand, and now you don't have any board presence. You're you're always bouncing back a card that has a very good enter play effect. So, like an Elsa, Hades, or Genie. On curve, you could return like a Rafiki or Tipo is not that bad, especially if you're in against a purple mirror. Uh, the elephant basically stonewalls these purple steel or amber steel aggro decks
Mhm.
because they kind of don't want to turn sideways because then you leave damage on the elephant for the elephant to then move the damage back to the opponent. Um, and I think it also synergizes super well with the Baymax, the one that gains you lore when you heal. So I guess just in short, a 3/7 butt is huge, and against purple, it's something that will take more than one card to remove. So in that favor, it's like already in your favor.
Yeah, I agree. Real quickly before we move to Andrew's thoughts on a few things, what do you feel? How do you feel about TikTok? Are you happy he's seeing play? Do you think he's needed? Do you think
I
Iago
watch
does the
TikTok like
job?
2 hours every day. I mean, like I'm just sitting there scrolling on TikTok. I mean, uh, TikTok is great. Okay, I think like when we evaluate cards most of the time, we're like, okay, what does this do on play? And TikTok is not the kind of card we would consider as like the first pick to enter our purple decks, right? Because it's just a big chunky boy. It's a 4/7 evasive, right? But the thing about TikTok slotting so well into the Blurple deck is because of ramp. And being able to get down this 4/7 evasive a turn or two earlier is huge against any other deck that is trying to go faster than you or trying to compete for board presence with like Genies or Dumb. Uh, Again, very similar to the elephant. It's a 4/7, very difficult to remove, and most of the time, I think there was one point when we were testing. I literally had to Hades a TikTok
Mhm.
just because, just so I don't start losing my own genies,
Yep.
even though you had your own genie on board. It just felt very awkward. TikTok makes things awkward because you can pump it up with a hypnotic strength, take out one of their guys, and TikTok survives. So if you're in a comfortable position to ramp quickly into these big, beefy characters, especially they have evasive, you kind of start stonewalling the opponent and controlling the board through characters rather than direct removal.
Yeah, I agree. I think TikTok is not a card that people would generally look at because it's just a vanilla essentially. It's a 4/4 flying. Um, I think it's what it is it's also just bait. It's bait for removal. It's bait for a Hades. It's slows down the tempo of the mirror match, um, while also just having a good enough body to combat some other decks. And that's kind of it. I think the yeah, it's just bait. That's it. It's bait. Andrew,
Very good, mate.
very good bait. Andrew, how do you feel about Baymax? I feel like we haven't seen Baymax too much. Do you think that Baymax in this deck is good? Think it's a win more? Do you like the instant lore in this? Does it need the instant lore? Or is it not even for the instant lore? Is it just for the heal?
So I love Baymax as a card. I've been trying to play him ever since he came out. And I think this is like the perfect deck for him because almost every character in this deck has like a huge butt and not a lot of like attack. So what this means is most of the time when you try to swing, especially in the mirror or something, your characters are gonna end up with damage on them and not dying. Yeah. So having him there to, heal them up gain lore, it's like a win-win. You're not trading something for the lore gain. You're literally benefiting from, the heal and the lore gain. So I love the card. The problem is sometimes there's no window to play him because, it's a tight game, which is fine because he's inkable. But when you do have the window to play him, I think he's super good and like super valuable.
Yeah, I think this Baymax is a really good card to talk about like the window of when to play something. And there are chances where things just get stuck in your hand because you want to play them to use them what they're for. And then it's understanding when the tempo play of just playing the card is important versus maximizing its ability. And that's the part of the trading card game aspect or the strategy of the game that makes things interesting. Um, okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about the first place list, and I think the second place list was almost identical if I remember correctly. How do we feel about purple steel? Yeah, how do we feel about it? Do we think it actually is the blurple killer? Um, what do you think, Andrew? You wanna go first?
I mean, it won on this day. It got first and second. I
Mm.
think it's just a different purple deck. Like the key to the deck is still purple. It still runs 4 Dumbos, 4 Genies, all the cards that we talked about that we think is, super broken. And then all it does is it gets under them with cards like the White Rose, Treasure Guardian, Quest for 2 as well. And it draws you a card.
Yeah.
So it's just a quicker version of Blurple and, it's able to get under it.
Yeah, I think this is a less stylish blurple, I guess, right? It's a little more direct. A little bit more of like destroy, tap attack, draw. Um, you're not ramping, you're not Hadesing, uh, things like that. I think. I don't think this is a bad deck. I think this has probably better matchups against other things in the meta, or at least easier games than Blurple does. And you get to be a little more creative with how you want to play things. But I do think that there is a chance for inconsistencies in this deck as well. Um, Brandon, any 2 cents to add?
Um, no, I think Andrew covered it pretty much. This is just a faster Blurple with
Yeah.
a lot of instant lore gain. So it's able to get under these Blurple decks a little quicker. I think the reason why this Purple Steel deck won the tournament is because it's able to be fast enough to compete against the other purple decks, but also has enough control and removal and board presence to combat the Amber Steel decks. Um, so while this whole time we're talking about purple, Amber Steel is still in the meta, very prominent. It's still there. You're still going to see your Daisy, Nala into Lady, Doc lines, um, because it's proven, it's been good, and you have to expect to see that. And I think on the day this Purple Steel deck was built to kind of attack both sides of the meta, aggression and control. So I think I don't think it's an easy deck to pilot. It's not. I from the
No.
way I see it, it's not as linear as Amber Steel would play, like dumping your hand and hope you draw a dock. This has a bit more nuances that you have to consider because it's not as fast. But yeah, I could see why this is going to be a contender for number one deck in the format.
Yeah. I like this deck as well. But I will attest this is hard to play. In playtesting, it is kind of hard to figure out. You need your reps. I would say play with a few friends before you show up to locals with this, or before you go to like a DLC with this. Like really get the reps in um, to learn.
I
The
love the way this deck was built. Like they basically said Genie is broken, so let's just play 8 of them. So,
gotcha.
you know, by having a 1-drop Vanish character, 2-drop Vanish character, and a 3-drop Vanish character, it basically makes sure that by the time you reach turn 4,
Yeah,
even if you don't have a Genie in hand, your Treasure Guardian will draw you a card and quest for 2. So,
true. Let's talk about this. The other top 4 decks. So there were 2 purple steals in the final, a Blurple, and then a Baja Blast, which essentially this is Zan's deck, right? It's the same list. Um,
yeah.
uh, we're pretty high. I think the 3 of us are pretty high on blue green right now because of the access to Hades and Bend to My Will. Except this deck doesn't play either of them.
hmm
I don't even know where to start, Brandon. How do you feel about this list? Because this looks similar, but
Does it not remind you guys of the deck that I played that I really wanted to play and then got roasted and then eventually didn't want to play? So I didn't
I
have the
believed in
tools
you.
for it. I didn't have the tools for it, but basically I could see how this makes top 4. So I don't think they're trying to well, at least based on our testing with green, blue, um, it was basically we tried to get uh, whatever you have on board, and I'm not talking about your Basils and T-Pos. I mean like your bigger threats, right? Like your Bayrex or Clarabelles and oh wait, no, I'm not talking about. Let's talk about the mirror. I'm talking about your Genies, Elsas, and Dumbos, right? So if let's say we're playing against Blurple and I'm playing green blue, I'm just trying to use my your welcomes, seven drop basil and uh Mother Knows Best to essentially keep as little things on your board as possible. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to send everything back to your hand, slam the Clarabelle down, draw a ton of cards.
Yep.
And uh in the meta with so little, like we're going to keep repeating this over and over again, but it's very important to keep in mind when you're deck building. There's not a lot of very strong removal spells running around. There's no board wipe as well. So playing bounce spells like your welcome and Mother Knows Best or any character that says return chosen opposing character to the player's head is crazy tempo advantage. So if you played a Dumbo on your turn, pass it to me, I just return it back to your hand. I don't know if it just feels like I'm stalling turns until I drop my bombs, and then from there I start controlling it a lot easier. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it does. I think your point is if they never have a creature that can quest on board, then how can they ever get to 20 lore? Whereas if I have characters on my board, I can quest to 20 lore. And that's kind of it. That's kind of your mentality when building green. That's the way your mentality was for almost 9 sets now. Constantly trying to just tempo out the opponent. I think that this list, if we took this list, combined it with the lists that we've been tinkering with, I actually think it could be an extremely good deck. That's it. So we have to play test with this. We haven't play tested with this exact version yet, so I want to be transparent on that. But we have been testing with blue green on we can confidently tell you that there is something there right now in this format.
Yeah, except we played two Bend to My Wills, which
Yeah,
were just insane. Instantly won me the game, basically.
but every time he played it, if I had more like 3 or more cards in hand, there was like no chance. And if there's anything, I would just even if I top deck a Hades, like I top deck a Hades, I send a Clarabelle, right, and he just immediately just like will play John Smith it, and then I top deck into like a Tipo. Like the amount of draw, like the reason why Blurple is so good is because you have so many options of cards in your hand, and you constantly are drawing to get past all of the cards that help you set up for your drops. And they cards work very good together. They don't work independently. So when you have Elsa, a 2-attack Elsa is not going to do much. When you have going against a Clarabelle or you're going against another, um, if you're going against a Prince John, if you're going against a Basil, if you're going against another Hades, it doesn't do much. It works well with a support character. It works well with another character on the board, or works well with a hypnotic strength. And that's those parts. So that's those ideas of how it works together. So if you eliminate that from Blurple, the synergy that the cards have, the deck stinks, just straight stinks. And that's where we think Bent to Our Will can be uh, really, really powerful. Uh, any other comments on this deck before we move on to another Andrew Blue Steel
We
discussion?
quickly touch on the combo between Under the Sea and Heads Held High. Did we
Uh,
talk about that yet?
we haven't. We can. I mean, it's just it's a Kita Under the Sea, but in blue, right?
Yeah.
Um, removes anything pretty much. It's Heads Held High is a -3. So it is -3.
I can't think of anything in the meta that is 6 cost a 6 strength. Maybe Monstro dodges this, but who's playing Monstro?
Maybe you have to start playing Monstro because of this. But yeah, I feel uh there is nothing that I can think of right now that would dodge this easily or at all.
Yeah, so this is a 2-card board wipe. Preferably if you can sing it, even better.
Both songs. Yeah.
Shark survives.
Right, but who's playing Shark now too?
That's a great question. Nobody.
That's the Hades.
And that
Why
card is
play Shark?
still expensive.
Why play Shark?
Last list, which way am I going? Is a blue steel special. This list is hecked out. That's it. We had a lot of success with this, except for we pretty much played what, like 5, 6 games straight, just alternating going first with this and Blurple.
Yeah, we just played it. We just jammed purple up steel versus blue over and
Yeah, and
over
we
again.
just spammed it, and it won like 5-1. I think
Surprisingly, I was very surprised. Yes, it
it out
favored blue steel. Yeah.
it outgrinded it outgrinded me. And then the last 2 games of the set, we added in Scar to try it out. And what did we learn?
You hate it so much
It sucks.
because not because it did well against him, but because it just sucks.
it, did,
It did nothing,
it did nothing.
unfortunately.
It did nothing. And
As
anytime
much as much as I love the art for the Enchanted, as well as
the
the
regular art is
effect
cool.
of it, yeah, no, as much as like the effect, I think is crazy because you can draw upwards of like you could draw like 20 cards if you get the right number, right? Like if you support everything and get this giant ally. But basically, what we found was I play the Scar. It gets strength, or it gets Hades, or it gets Elsa, and something challenges into the Scar. This goes back to the very beginning of the podcast where we said we look for things that have on play effect, and unfortunately, Scar has to wait a turn before he does anything. He has a huge payoff when he pops off. However, 5 costs uninkable to kind of take a turn off and then for him to get banished. feels terrible. The tempo loss is terrible. So I ended up saying let's just not play with Scar after trying him out for a while. But he is in the deck for now.
Yeah, he's
You
in
guys
this list.
do remember you can take him out if you want.
Yeah, this is still work in progress. Now our list is a little bit different than Andrew's list. Andrew, why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm not convinced by Lilo, and I don't like the evade. Is it the Jasmine that is evasive or like gets evasive on her turn or something?
The new 5-cost one?
Yeah, those two cards I'm not really convinced by, but the rest of the list I like, and it's, those two are the main things that I'm not playing. But
Do you think there's a spot for Tinkerbell with a combo with dig? Is it dig a little deeper, which it gives it invasive? Is that what that does?
um,
What? No.
What's
Dig a
that?
little deeper is you look at the top 7 cards or something and you take 2.
No, what's the? Oh, I'm drawing a blank. I have to look this up.
Give
Uh,
evasive.
yeah, it's the one with
What, pounce?
Zazu in the.
So pouncing
Oh,
something? Pouncing practice?
yeah, pounce.
Let me look it up for
Pounce.
you.
Yeah, hold on. I'm typing in pounce.
but basically you're trying to give Tinkerbell evasive.
Right. Okay. So it's a 2-cost action that says chosen character
Chosen character
gets -2 attack
-2,
this turn,
and chosen
and
character is
chosen character
evasive.
of yours gains evasive. So I did tech in one of these.
I think this card's good. I think this
Just
card's gonna be
absolutely
good.
wreck some if
Just wreck some
greedy
genies.
evasives that try to quest when you have your Tinkerbell down and you like just suddenly give it evasive, take it out, ping something for 2. I think
Yeah.
it's again a huge tempo swing play.
Well, I feel like playing, you could like if you have Tinkerbell on 6, right? They quest with like genies or whatever. Then you play genie, or like they'll quest with genies. You play pouncing practice, give it evasive, give something -2, whatever. Even if you don't give something -2, you challenge with the uh, Tinkerbell. Um, you can play Aurora for protection. You can play a Genie as a follow up. You can play Baymax if it has any leftover damage on it. Um, yeah, few options. I feel like that's like not a bad idea. But it does also kind of feel like a weird combo card, and combo cards in this game feel weird. So,
I mean, I like the pouncing practice idea, so I guess we'll have to test it more
yeah,
and figure out.
maybe we'll test it tomorrow for casuals. Um,
Yeah.
Now, here's a great question with this deck. On 2, do you ramp or do you Jasmine? Andrew,
Andrew.
you're the only one who can answer this question.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's dependent on a lot of things, like what your opponent is playing and whether you're going first or second. But I really like to play Jasmine on 2 just because the card draw off of her is too good. For me, it's like, oh, I set up my card draw engine,
Mhm.
and then, my turn 3, I can ramp and play another one drop or something. But there is value behind ramping on 2. If you ramp on 2 and then you shift Jasmine on turn 3, you have 2 ink left over, so you can play a 2 drop.
Yeah,
So I don't think there is a simple answer as to like, oh, one is definitely better than the other. I personally like to play Shift Jasmine on 2, but I do acknowledge that there are plenty of situations where ramping is definitely the correct play.
understandable. Um, I I think that's about it for this week's episode. Any last comments from the crew?
Keep you guys posted on what we think is good and not good.
Yeah, we will keep testing and keep being creative out there as well. And let us know what you guys find in the comments. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what else you guys want to hear. Feel free to post deck list in the comments, thoughts on cards, anything. We'll be happy to talk about it. Anyway, thanks guys, and talk to you guys next episode.